Good morning, everybody. Mark Finan here in the home weather office on this Friday morning. It's now the 27th day of December, 2024. This is the morning briefing coming to you from the home weather office. And as I look out the window from the home weather office, the rain has ended. It's still a little breezy, but the peak winds were overnight. I'll show you more on that here in a second here. But the rain has ended. We are still going to see chances of rain over the course of the weekend. Nothing big, but just the sort of thing that you're going to want to know about to plan around. And then, of course, we'll take a look at next week as well. All right, so let's start, as usual, with what's happening right now. We still have all this cloud cover that doesn't show up all that well on this view. And then we have this big area of moisture out here. Nice low up here in the Gulf of Alaska, and a nice little atmospheric river sort of pattern right in here. And what we're going to be on over the next couple of days is on the southern edge of this. And this is also not only an AR, but it's also a boundary between warmer air on the south side and colder air on the north side. And what we'll eventually wait for during the day on Sunday is to have this line sag across the area and bring us back into some cooler weather. But in the next couple of days, it's going to be relatively mild. And I don't mean that it's going to be, sunny and 70 in the valley. What I mean by that is that when we get precipitation, it's going to be more rain in the Sierra than it will be in terms of snow. So with that little passage that we had last night and this morning with that rain that went through, let me show you what happened in the Sierra. So for that, I'm going to show you, this is MesoWest. If you want to Google MesoWest, I'll tour you around this a little bit more. What I'm showing you right here is a graph of what happened to Blue Canyon over the last 24 hours. The red line is the temperature, the blue line is the dew point, and then this up here is the relative humidity. So let's just pay attention to the red line, and the times down at the bottom are GMT, so that's Greenwich Mean Time. 12Z is 4 a.m. So go back to around midnight last night, and the temperature that is over here was around 33, 34 degrees, and at this time it was snowing. So this is at 5,200 feet. It was snowing. Well, look what happened during the overnight. So this is around midnight. The temperature is around 33, 34 degrees, but during the night the temperature went up. Yeah, overnight, and the temperature went up. So that by 4 a.m. the temperature was 39, and now it was raining. And we also started getting rain at lake level. Started at as snow down at Tahoe, and then it changed over to rain. And that's an indication that we are getting into warmer air. And with that, we are going to see the snow levels stay pretty high over the next couple of days. While I'm on this site, let me also take you around this a little bit. Let me move this over a little bit. So if you go to MesoWest and you click on California, there's a spot over here you can go to the network that you want to use. I always use NWS and ROS. You can use all networks, but it goes very, very slow, but it gives you a denser network of what's happening in your area. You can also just use NWS, ROS, but I use NWS and ROS. And then over here, you can just kind of move the map around. And so the thing I wanted to show you is, let's go to SMF, Sacramento International Airport, and you click on it and up comes a graph. So this is the temperature in Sacramento. Interesting that the temperature down on the valley floor did not change much during the overnight hours. The temperature at SMF stayed at 54 degrees, went to 55. But you didn't see the temperatures on the valley floor change like what we saw in the Sierra. But this is a graph of the dew point, the temperature, and the relative humidity. But if you go up here, you can also graph the wind. And I want to use that because I want to show you the wind that we had last night. And again, I'm just using SMF as just one spot, as kind of a proxy for everything we had. The red line is the sustained wind. The green dots are the wind gusts. So you can see that back shortly after midnight last night, the winds started going up, and we started getting some sustained winds around 3 o'clock in the morning, around 32 miles an hour. But at that time, we were getting gusts up around 42. But you can see that those peak gusts are trending down, and the peak sustained winds are also trending down. By the way, the blue line, these blue dots, indicate the direction, which is over here. So that wind was always out of the southeast. You don't see a real good wind passage or frontal passage to bring in a wind shift. So this is a really cool site for data like that. While I'm here, let's take a look at what happened at Tahoe. Let's see if we're going to get some data from that. We are. So again, you can see the same thing here, how the temperature during the, and that's funny because this time went to PST. I know, some of them use PST, some of them use GMT, just like when I show you some of the maps, and some are in degrees C and some degrees F. We just have to go with it. Anyway, so last night around midnight, the temperature was down here around 33, but after that, the temperature went up, so that by early this morning, the temperature went up to 43 degrees, and that's how you started with snow at lake level and then changed over to rain. Anyway, MesoWest. It's actually run by the University of Utah. I highly recommend it. All right, let's go to what's going to be happening here. This is, we'll start with the HRRR, and this is, as we go through today, the precipitation ending, and then we get into the day tomorrow. And tomorrow looks as though it's going to be kind of soupy on the west slope. This is actually late tonight. Let's get into the day tomorrow. I'll go to 7 a.m. All right, 7 a.m. You notice the green that we have here on the west slope? So from, let's say, well, maybe Calaveras County all the way up through Plumas County, we have enough orographic flow, we have enough moisture in the air to squeeze out rain, maybe more like just drizzle. So for those of you in, let's say, Nevada City and Grass Valley and Quincy, Portola, Placerville, Camino, it's just going to be one of those bleh kind of days. And as you can see, there's no snow being shown in the Sierra. Down on the valley floor, probably not much going on. There may be intermittent showers in Napa and Solano counties. And then you get south of Stanislaus County, and of course it's completely dry. But it's just kind of a soupy day. Again, we have good orographic flow going up the west slope of the Sierra. It squeezes out that moisture. This is late in the morning. Let's get into the afternoon. And just look at that pattern right there. This is around 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And as you can see, it's still just kind of damp here on the west slope. No, it's not one of those cases where you get a lot of rain, but it's just kind of drizzly and damp, while the valley floor is relatively dry, but also just wet if you're driving on 80 or 50 up over the summit. And then as we get into the day on Sunday, we have the cold front that we're waiting on. But this is as far as the model goes, but still we have that soupy flow here. All right, let's go out a little bit farther in time, and for that we'll be able to use the NAM. All right, so this shows the same sort of thing, that soupy flow on Saturday right here, I think affecting more the west slope than areas like down on the valley floor. But yeah, that's Saturday afternoon. Just kind of like all those spots I mentioned in the foothills, just kind of one of those overcast, kind of drippy sort of days. We get more of this as we get into the day on Sunday. This is Sunday morning at 7 a.m. This right here is a cold front. This little bow in the isobars right here. You probably draw a cold front right in there. Warmer air ahead of it, colder air behind that I'll show in just a second. And watch what it does to the snow levels. So this is at 7 a.m. By 1 in the afternoon, it is snowing in the Sierra, so colder air is coming in, dropping the snow level, getting light rain in the valley, getting some nice rain in the foothills, with snow levels dropping down to and maybe even a little bit below 6,000 feet. This is Sunday afternoon. We're not going to get a ton of snow out of that, and by late Sunday night and into early Monday, we are dry, and right now, most of next week looks dry. Another perspective on how that cold air is going to come in, let's look at the temperatures at around 5,000 feet. So again, these are going to come out in degrees C. So what we're in here, this green is temperature around 5 or 6 degrees C. So that's around 40, 42 degrees, and that also is into the Sierra. Watch these areas that are the colder air, these areas of this light blue, and that little white line is the 0 line. Well, as we go through the next couple of days, this is getting into the day Saturday, our temperatures aloft don't change all that much, are around 6 or 7 degrees, so that's low 40s degrees Fahrenheit. Here is that orographic flow that I talked about, southwesterly flow going up the west slope of the Sierra. And let's get into the day on Sunday, and this is Sunday morning, and we are still quite warm, relatively speaking, aloft. But there's colder air back here that will be on the move as we get into the day on Sunday. So I'll stop it here. This is Sunday early afternoon. We're still in the warm air, but look at this colder air coming in. That white line right there, that's the 0 line, so 32 degrees at around 5,000 feet. So what we're going to see here is that's that rain changing to snow in the Sierra as colder air comes in. This is Sunday after sunset. And yes, now the temperatures over the valley are around 2 degrees, so mid-30s, and there's the 0 line. And so that's how the snow level will drop. So let me go through that again. So Sunday morning, temperatures are relatively warm aloft, and then boom. And what we'll see here is the temperatures on the west slope, just like I showed you with the temperatures of Blue Canyon, the temperatures in the Sierra are influenced more by this than what you see down on the valley floor. And the valley floor will probably just stay in the 50s for the next couple of days. Maybe we might drop down to 48, maybe as high as 55. But when you get into the Sierra, you'll see that bigger temperature drop, so that here, what you may end up with, let's say, at Tahoe, is temperatures in the 40s until we get into Sunday afternoon. The temperature drops, and so Tahoe would go back to snow. And so if you are planning, let me go back to the precip. If you are planning on traveling through the Sierra on Sunday, let's say you're coming home on Sunday afternoon, this is what you're going to have to deal with. Again, not a lot of snow, but enough for chain controls and that sort of thing. I just realized I also had another tab here that I wanted to show you. I'm actually going to back up a little bit time-wise. So I want to show you how we did with the rain that went through last night. And I'll tell you, the forecast came out really nicely. So this is from the California Nevada River Forecast Center. I've shown you this before. And what we're looking at here is 24-hour precipitation. And when you see these little blue bubbles, that's more than a half an inch of rain. Did quite nicely around Stockton and Modesto, 0.6 to 0.7 inches of rain. Solano County, also around 0.7. Around the downtown Sacramento area, about a third to a half an inch of rain. But then you get into the west slope. As I mentioned yesterday, the areas above Highway 49 would do quite well. And as you can see here, in places like Georgetown, about 2.5 inches of rain. Around Placerville, around 1.5 inches. It goes up closer to 2 inches of rain in Pollock Pines. And then you get into the Feather River Basin up here, and some spots were reporting 2 to 3 inches of rain. And in the Sierra, it's coming in with 1 to 2. And some of the ski resorts reported up to around 10 inches of snow. But then, of course, it started to mix out a little bit. So that's how we did in terms of the rain from what went through yesterday afternoon, last night, and early this morning. Once again, the models did a very good job with that. I meant to show you that earlier, but I forgot. So that's everything I've got for you this morning. Like I said, tomorrow on the west slope, for those of you in the foothills, especially north of Calaveras County, I think tomorrow's just going to kind of be a soupy day. Temperatures in the valley will stay in the 50s until we get that cold front coming through on Sunday. We will get enough snow in the Sierra on Sunday, probably something in the range of 3 to 6 inches of snow, something like that, but enough to cause headaches for travel. And then most of next week looks dry. The GFS that I didn't show you, that kind of tries to show maybe a little something next Friday, but right now, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day look dry from the valley to the Sierra, north on I-5, south on I-5, all of those look dry. But we can get into that next week. In the meantime, it is Friday. Time to head into the weekend in this holiday time. Make it a great day. Have a great weekend. I'll talk with you later.